Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Avonlea Chronicles podcast. This is a knitting podcast and my name is Martha and I'm here to talk about all things knitting and crafting. I am back. I was going to podcast last weekend and then life happened and I was called upon to be a really good friend and support someone else. So I was doing a lot of driving around, cooking for them. And I was also waiting on some yarn mail, so I thought I would podcast during the week. And then I also got a new phone. I am here with a new phone, finally. It took 3 tries, but here we are. So I'm here to talk about all the things. I have so much to talk about. So we're going to get right into it. My yarn that arrived was from Peggy May Yarns, and it is her Anne of Green Gables character club. This one is the character of Matthew Cuthbert. It is this gorgeous like cream base with these specks of black and green. This reminds me of when Matthew goes to collect Anne from the train station. And when they're driving home, they drive through this is in the Anne of Green Gables movie from the 80s that Kevin Sullivan did with Megan Follows, Colleen Dewhurst, and Richard Farnsworth. So when Matthew and Anne are driving home, they go through this beautiful laneway of like cherry blossoms that are just bursting with so many blossoms, and leaves or petals are falling everywhere. And it reminds me of that, like the black speckles are his suit and the vibrant greens from that interaction. That's when Anne goes, Matthew, what is this place called? It's so beautiful. And he's like, it's called the Avenue. And she goes, I think it should be called the White Way of Delight. So that's what this reminds me of, like this image of Matthew from that scene. And then it came with a book, because I always get the option that comes with a gift, because like Anne of Green Gables, over here is my Anne bookshelf. You can't see it, but like Anne picture up there, Anne everything. So I have to go for the gift. So I got this book, In the Footsteps of Anne, A Journey Through Avonlea. And I do not have this book. I've never seen this book or heard of it. So I'm super excited to read it. The back says, I'll just read part of it. It says, in the footsteps of Anne brings to life the cherished landscapes that inspired Montgomery's timeless Anne books, inviting readers and travelers alike to explore the rolling fields, charming villages, and iconic sites that Anne called home. So I'm excited to read this. And actually, just the other day was the like 100th or 100 and something anniversary of the first time that Lucy Maud Montgomery came up to Bala with her family and stayed at the Rosewood Inn. And just a little bit a ways from me is Bala, where there's an Anne of Green Gables museum. So they had a whole day of activities and stuff to like celebrate that it was the 100th anniversary or 100 and something anniversary of Lucy Maud Montgomery coming to Bala for the first time. So that was the first bit of mail that I have gotten. And then I also got some other mail, I think the week before, that I've just been waiting to share. But I have desperately been wanting to make the Comfort Crossbody by HGDC, HG Designed Crochet. I'm part of her sub squad and we get patterns every couple of months. And so I saw this bag and I was like, I want to make this bag. I want to conquer making a granny square. So I bought in the spring these 2 colors of purple. This is lavender, this lighter one. And this is just purple. I had bought these 2 balls each. It is bonus DK. It's an acrylic. It's $6.99 Canadian, super affordable. And originally I was gonna make the bag in these two colors of purple. And then as I've looked at this more, I'm like, the great thing about granny squares that you can't do with knitting is that you can make them 2, 3, 4 colors, and you're able to be a little bit more creative with your colors. Whereas like the bag that I just made with my knit squares, the only thing that I could do was stripe 2 different colors. So I went through and I picked out like 6 colors, but I only got 3 for now. So I'm just keeping them in the plastic for now. I went for these 3 colors. This is Lagoon Blue. I think this is Electric Pink. And this is Bright Orange. So I thought they would pair well with the 2 purples. My vision, I think, and my pattern just fell, is where she has outlined all hers in black. I envision outlining mine in the dark purple or the light purple, or doing like a checkered version where I'm outlining some of them in black, some of them in purple, some of them in lavender, and alternating. But I wanted more colors, so I got these 3 colors. I was looking at a color called Primrose, which is like a really nice creamy buttery yellow, but it was out of stock. I looked at a lime green, and I looked at one called Rainforest, which is like a tealy bluey green color. And so I thought that would cover like most of the colors. If I think of like primary colors, I don't like red, but I have like a red, a blue, and a yellow, because I'd get the butter yellow. And then of the secondary colors of purple, orange, and green, I have purple, I have orange, and then I would have a green, and then like a tealy green. If you think there's any color that I might be like missing, I don't want red, I don't want black. I'm thinking of going for these, and then the lime green, the Rainforest, and then the butter yellow. But I started with these, and that means that I need to conquer a granny square. Now, I don't know why, to me, making a granny square has been very intimidating, but it has. I don't know why. I've crocheted granny triangles before, like, I love them. I love how meditative they are, but I don't know what it is about a square that intimidates me. So the other night I finished a knitting project, and I just needed a little bit of a break. My hands needed a break. My brain needed a break. And I don't know, I just picked up some yarn from my stash, and I grabbed my laptop and I pulled up my crochet playlist on YouTube and grabbed a hook. And this is my first ever granny square. This yarn, I'm holding double, it's fingering weight held double, but this is my first granny square. This yarn is Tomorrow is Always Fresh with no mistakes in it, from Tangled Poets. And then I was just on such a high from the first one that I made a second. This one is from Biscotte Yarns in Quebec or Montreal, and it's the Avonlea colorway. So these are my first 2 granny squares. Obviously these ones are a little bit different. It's just the way that the color placement is done. So I've came and I conquered the granny square. And I texted my friend a picture, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I get the hype. I understand. It is so meditative and so mindless and calming. I get it now. So I am going to conquer the Comfort Crossbody bag and make some granny squares. I do think I'm going to use these and make a pencil case for my big knitting bag. So I will use these. I think that will be my first project. Give me a little bit more practice with some more granny squares and joining them. And I think I'm gonna make a pencil case to use these, and then I'm gonna tackle the comfort crossbody. So that has been one of my summer goals, and I've been working on it. Okay, next thing up, my pattern fell. But this is what happens when you film in one take. It's life. The grocery girls are always hopping up to get something. Okay, I have been working. I stopped for like a week just to finish my one project that I will show at the very end. But I decided for knitting twice a week when I go out with knitting group, I was gonna work on a project just for myself. I'm making the Palm Springs tank by Knit California. And I'm using my color from Pine and Pearl, very colorful, very demure, very colorful. And this is it here. I hope the lighting isn't too bad today. It's really overcast. This was the yarn that I had to pick up an extra skein of at the Fiber Festival at the end of June, so like a month ago. The third skein that I got when I was at the Fiber Festival is slightly lighter than my original two, but I've been using that lighter skein with one of my original skeins, and you can't tell a difference at all. I alternate every 2 rows. So you can see I have 2 tails here where I start, and then I've just, where's that edge? I think it's this edge here. I just carry the yarn up and you can't tell at all. So I'm almost done the back panel, and then I will work on the front panels, and then I guess put it all together at some point, and then I'll be knitting in the round forever. But I'm loving this color. I can totally see myself wearing this tank top with like, all my pants are black, so black pants or black skirts, and yeah, just letting the color pop and being able to play with different accessories and stuff, because there are so many different colors in here. So I love it. My mom says this is really her colors. She's gotten very playful with colors. But she's not gonna take it from me because it definitely won't fit. So I've been working on that, but I took a break last week so I could finish a project. But that has been something that I've been working on. What next? I'm trying to like go through all the things, and totally, a skunk just sprayed outside because I can smell it. Okay, what do I want to talk about next? At the beginning of June, one night my friend sent me a text and said, my dog is curled up with my shawl. And I had made her the gratitude shawl, and I guess it was in a basket on the floor of her room, and her dog went in and he took it and went and curled up and napped with it. She said he likes to take something of hers to his sleeping spot when he sleeps. So then I got thinking, well, maybe I should make like a dog blanket. And I didn't really have any design idea come through until the other night when I was washing dishes, and I was just like, oh my goodness, why don't I just take the gratitude shawl and make it into the gratitude blanket? Because it's super easy to convert the triangle pattern to a square pattern. All I have to do is do the same amount of repeats for the garter stitch and the same repeats for the eyelet rows, and I just have to work out the edges for the eyelet rows, because I'm not increasing stitches to make triangle. I'm just knitting square. So I went to Walmart. I am going to give this to my friend for her dog. I'm going to give it to her dog. He's the one that I made bandana for at Christmas. But I went and got Lion Brand Respun Thick and Quick. It is recycled polyester. This is $11 I'm rounding up. It's $11 Canadian for 223 yards. I did look at the small balls of Lion Brand Thick and Quick, which was $6 a ball for 81 yards. So you would have to buy 3 balls of regular Lion Brand Thick and Quick to equal 1 ball of this, and it was going to be $7 more. So I went for this. This is the color Spruce. It's a grayish green color, and I got 3 balls because they only had 3 balls in Spruce. I didn't want to buy 2 and then have to go back for a third. But if I don't use one, I will just take it back. And I started yesterday. I have to keep it in a bucket because I had to pull from the outside of the ball, and so I just have to pull off a bunch, put it in the bucket, and then knit from it. This is super bulky. I don't knit on super bulky, so it's a little bit slow, but because it's big yarn, big needles, it's working out. It's about 32 inches. So I'm partway through the garter stitch. Later today, I will hopefully get to the eyelet stitch rows, and I'm just, I copied and pasted my gratitude shawl pattern into a new document, and I've been editing that for this blanket pattern. I think that you can see here as I hold it up against my body, I think it's a good like lap blanket size. So this, I'm just calling it the gratitude blanket. I am giving it to a dog, but, if you know me, I got bitten by dogs as a kid. So I am like scared of dogs, but my friend's dog has really helped me learn to like dogs again. I let him sit in my lap. I will pet him. So, yeah, but I was also getting a prayer shawl the other week and realized when I was getting them, they were mostly triangles, or the hand knit ones or crocheted ones were mostly triangles or rectangles. And I was thinking of someone that was in a wheelchair, and so I grabbed the only square prayer shawl pattern or prayer shawl that was there. So I think this gratitude blanket will be good as a baby blanket, as a lap blanket, a prayer shawl. It's very versatile. It is. That's why I'm marketing it as just a blanket. So I have made good progress on it, although it is slow knitting for me because it is a much bigger yarn than I'm used to working with. Okay, what else? There's like so much to talk about. Okay, I dove into my stash because I have an idea for the fall pattern in my 4-season collection. So I have had the Spring Buds shawl and the Looking for Loons shawlette come out, and I still have my scarf over there. I just didn't bring it for the podcast today because I have not touched it. My scarf for the winter pattern, which I just have to knit. The rest of the pattern is already made. But I need a fall pattern. So I had originally purchased these 2 skeins of fingering from Shellbridge Yarn to do a colorwork pattern. But as I looked in this at my stash, this is called Sunset Beaches. It's a fingering weight. I thought that it would be perfect for the pattern idea for the fall pattern because the colors are very reminiscent of the fall colors here in Muskoka. There's like oranges, greens, yellows, reds, some like deeper purples. So I'm going to use this for my pattern. So I'm scrapping, trying color work, and practicing color work, a skill that I would like to learn and work on, because I've done some color work before. But I'm scrapping that because I'm going to reuse this for my fall collection. I had meant to look for color for my fall pattern at the Fiber Festival, and then I forgot. But then as I've dove into my stash for some other yarn, for something else, I saw this and I'm like, this will be perfect. And I have seen the craze around the Sophie scarf and doing little scarflet, shawlette things like that. It's like a very small, shallow triangle. So I want to explore designing something like that. So I have some patterns that I found that I can use to like help me create the formula for it. And then I'm going to use this. This is called Deep Ocean, and it's just some very different variations of some blues. So those will be upcoming designs. Next up, I think I showed this in the last podcast. My friend Steph designed a pattern called Fern's Echo, and I had gotten not so far, but I'd gotten like 3 repeats into the pattern. And she's so patient with me. We send videos back and forth. I am trying my darndest to figure out how to get my edges straight. I'm like so close. And because I'm left-handed, but also because we're not sitting in the same room. If we were sitting in the same room, I would have gotten it by now. But I have to keep ripping this out. So I'm hopeful that today I will tackle this and get the edges right, and then I will just be motoring along. But I will say, having ripped out and restarted this a few times, the different crochet stitch patterns have like locked and loaded in my memory. So that's been really great. I don't have to keep watching videos of how to do the stitch patterns, but I'm really loving how this purple is working up. And you can go find her pattern on Ravelry called Fern's Echo by Steph Parker. Go check it out. I will also comment it down below so you can go get it for yourself. But it's a super great rectangular wrap, and I wish I had more to show you, but I'm practicing and I'm learning. I really want to get the edges right. The thing that she said to me yesterday was it's really hard because with knitting, your stitches are all held up by a needle, but when crochet, they're not. So it's harder to like find that definitive edge. So I'm working on it. I'm just checking the time because I'm doing this before church. But I have loads of time. It's only 9:04 and church starts at 10:15. So I've got loads of time. Okay, next up, I am pulling this little burner project out of, it's just literally been hanging around. This is my gratitude shawl, and I'm knitting it in a fingering weight that I had in my stash. And when I say this is just a burner project, it's just something that is easy and mindless to do, that I keep in this project bag. Now during the school year, it's been in my backpack. But now, since my other knitting that I was doing at church is finished, I'm going to take this instead. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep plugging away on it and seeing how far I get. And then, I don't know, it might be a prayer shawl for someone. It could just go in my bucket of shawls that I have just in case. I really just like to have something that's super easy and I can grab and go. Last week I was doing driving around, wasn't sure if I was going to be having to sit and wait for long periods of time. So I had just had something that was easy to grab, easy to knit, already ready to go. So I'm going to take this and work on it in church now. Yes, I knit in church only during the summer because I'm not singing in the choir. We have a break. So I just sit in the back and knit away. So yeah, that is everything except for the two finished objects that I have had sitting behind me. So the first one, this just got a name last night, and I want to make sure I have the right side. This is the rose shawl. It is sort of a perfect semicircle. This was my Mrs. Potts inspired colorway, and I used the rosebud eyelid lace shawl and then the textured rose stitch. And yes, I went back and forth on the name. I didn't really want to call it Mrs. Potts because the yarn color is called Mrs. Potts. I thought about Tale as Old as Time, but that's quite a long title, but also wasn't sure about using that because that's the name of a song. And then because really the theme, I loved the color. I love the character of Mrs. Potts. I chose a semicircle with a picot bind off, you know, to sort of resemble that like roundness of a teapot. And, you know, the picot bind off for those little scallops, and like around the edge of her teapot, she's got these little scalloped edge design. But then also like the rose, that physical rose in that case that drops a petal that's all glittery, is a huge theme in Beauty and the Beast. So I decided to go for the rose shawl. This is a pattern coming soon, probably in the next week or so. So yes, do I think that it worked out for my first time doing a perfect semicircle? I do. I think the lace though struggled a little bit. I think this lace portion at the top really struggled to like stretch out to that semicircle shape. I think the textured lace stitch or the textured rose stitch was fine, but I do think my lace had a harder time when I blocked it out and pinned it. It stretched like this way. It was stretching this way a bit so I could get it to that perfect like semicircle. Now that it's been out and like hanging on a chair, it's not as perfect semicircle as I expected it to turn out, I guess, but it has turned out nonetheless, and I'm quite proud of it. It's my first time doing a semicircle. And yeah, so the rose shawl will be coming soon to you. And look at that drape, like, oh, so gorgeous. 2 skeins of fingering weight, super meditative and like easy. So yeah, so that is that. And I haven't photographed it yet, but like, oh, look at this. Haven't even worn it yet because I haven't photographed it. I decided to get up and get dressed today so I could photograph it. So yes, this is it. So that is the rose shawl coming soon. And this last one might be the most meaningful shawl that I've ever made. I am not even keeping it. I am giving it away. And I just have to be like I can't share a lot because it's like very private, but this pattern idea came to me exactly 2 months ago today. Came to me on May 27th, and a friend was just experiencing a really tough day, and you know, I could only help her out in the way that I could help her out, which was primarily just waiting and telling her that I was sending her lots of love and thoughts and good vibes. And I came home and this pattern idea came through so strong. I just saw like the bottom of a rectangle with 2 rows of hearts in a pink color, and it was called Wrapped in Love. Like, that was what came through. So I have a bin just on a table down here, the shelf of a table in the corner, and I knew that I had some pink in there. So from a yarn swap, that's like my yarn swap bucket. So if there's anything that I find in my stash that I don't want, I put in there, and whatever I collect at the yarn swap goes in there. And then if I use it, great. If not, I just take it back for the next yarn swap, which is pretty much any yarn that we don't use or don't want. We will, my mom will host a night, and she'll clear a table, and we just dump all the yarn on the table, and it's just like a free-for-all. Like, we get to look at all this different yarn that people didn't want and take it and use it, and sometimes you find the right thing for your project and it clears your stash. And yeah, so I found this, I had this yarn in there, 3 50-gram skeins of lace weight wool silk blend, 85% wool, 15% silk, from Story Made Yarns. And I immediately that night, I went to church for a meeting. I took it with me. I ended up being early for the meeting. So I was standing in my minister's office. I like opened up the skein, plopped it around one of her chairs, and I just started hand rolling a ball of this. And then I came home, rolled the other 2, I hand wound them into balls. And then I started looking up lace heart patterns. I found a few that I liked. I looked at them. They were all pretty much written the same. So I just picked one and I started. But very clearly in my mind, when this image came through, there was no half hearts going up the side. So what I found in a lot of lace patterns is they will start with half of a flower or a heart or half of the motif going up the side, and then you get the full motifs, and then you end with the other half of the design. And I did not want that. That was not in the image. I started knitting it and I was like, no, this isn't right. So I ripped it out. I reworked the pattern and rejigged it. Like, it took an afternoon of just like figuring out how to shift the pattern over so that I just had 2 rows of solid hearts that were alternated like and stacked on top of one another. So I did that figuring out and started knitting. I literally in the last week like just got it finished. I finished on Friday actually, and so to have it finished exactly 2 weeks to the day is, I don't know, it's like a little God wink there. And exactly 1 week today was like a really big and like tragic day for the recipient of this. So I'm really excited that it's finished. But here it is. This is the Wrapped in Love shawl. It is a rectangular shawl, and it is just full of little lace hearts. So as you can see, the hearts are like alternated. I don't really know what the proper like term is, but you can see how they're like, you know, they're not stacked on top of one another in lines. They're like over like one. I would say the only thing that I've changed about this pattern is I initially just did 2 rows of garter stitch on the bottom, and then I did 2 stitches at the beginning and end of each row for the edging. I changed the pattern to say 4 rows of garter stitch at the beginning and end, just so that the edge is the same width. The edge at the bottom and the top is the same width as the edge at the side. That is the only thing. This would work really great with a fingering weight too. You would only need 2 skeins of fingering weight to equal the 3 skeins of lace weight, because it was 3 skeins of lace weight at three skeins of lace weight. They were 50 grams, but 300 yards. So it was like 900 yards. Whereas 2 100 gram skeins of fingering is like 800 and something. So yeah, and you can make it as long or as short as you like. This came out to be 73 inches long and 20 inches wide. So it's perfect. Wow, I was trying to drape it over my shoulders. But yeah, I am like super excited to, I'm going to photograph this. This is actually a prayer shawl, so this is going to my friend. I think it is just the right time to give it to her, and yeah, it's super great for like wrapping yourself up in. And I needed a tag for this, so this one I found online, and I was like, how perfect is it? It says you are wrapped in love, and then it just talks about that this shawl was made for love, with just for you, that like prayers were stitched into it, that it's a hug, like all this stuff, which is just perfect. I am attaching it with this little light bulb clip and the little wooden heart cutout, and yeah. So I'm so excited. I'm going to go back to church this afternoon when nobody's there and photograph it and do my own little prayer over it. Our minister isn't here, so I can't like ask her to sort of officially bless it, but I also don't think that you don't need to have things officially blessed by a minister. You can do your own prayers over it, and I've infused this with love and good intentions and prayers for the recipient. And yeah, oh, look at that. I am probably the most proud of this, and it's the most meaningful, and I really wanted to get it done this week. I was invited to be part of, my friend's life, and invited to be part of that last week when things were really tough last weekend. So it made it all the more important for me to finish this week so that I could gift it to her. So yeah, and that's all I'm going to say about that, because it's not meant for the world to hear about it. It's just meant for the two of us. And I had actually written a card talking about this shawl and the day the idea came to me, and I had written that card a couple weeks ago, and then after last weekend I had to like revisit the card, and I had to add some more stuff to it, which was quite emotional as I like wrote this card. But yeah, I love this, and as much as I love it and would love to keep it. I love even more that I get to bless somebody else with it. And yeah, it's a super meditative pattern. It's a 16 row repeat, which is pretty easy to memorize. And yeah, I think this was the perfect colorway that I found in my stash. And I don't know what else to say about it, but it's like my most meaningful shawl, and the pattern is actually going to come out today, as soon as I get the photographs done. So expect everything to be up for tomorrow. But the Wrapped in Love shawl will be available. And I think the most meaningful thing that I made sure that I wrote in my card to my friend about this is this will be a free pattern. This is a free pattern across all of my platforms, Ravelry, my website, Love Crafts. I didn't feel that it was right to use this gift of pattern designing that I've been given, but to use this pattern that came to me during a friend's like really tough time. I didn't feel it was right for me to make money off of this pattern. So it will be a forever free pattern so that you can bless other people with a gift of love. Oh, I'm loving looking at this. I'm going to miss this. I really loved knitting it. But yeah, and I think it's going to be in a very emotional, when I gift this, it's going to be quite emotional. So yeah. So you will be able to enjoy this, the Wrapped in Love shawl, beautiful rectangle pattern, and it'll be available by tomorrow. Everything will be up and available and ready, and it will be forever free. So that is the note that I am ending on. And now I've got to go clean up all this and get ready to go to church. So I'm pretty much already ready. But I also have to pack up my shawl to go and say my own special blessing over it later on and photograph it. And yeah, I will be back in 2 weeks. I hope to have the blanket finished, more progress on my tank top, and some more granny squares crocheted, because I have discovered the love of making granny squares. So I am going to go upload this now, and I will see you back here in a couple of weeks.